The Galactic Council's judgment chamber hung in the silent dark between stars, a vast ring of black stone older than most civilizations. Inside, the air hummed with tension. 317 alien species sat in tiered rows, their eyes, some glowing, some lidless, some made of crystal, fixed on a single human standing alone at the center. Captain Elias Rourke wore a plain gray uniform, no medals, no armor. Behind him, a soft blue hologram showed Earth, oceans swirling, cities glittering at night, children laughing in parks. It looked fragile, defenseless, and that was exactly what the Council wanted to believe. The Velnari High Arbiter rose, tall and segmented. Its chitinous body clicked with every movement. Its voice boomed through the chamber like thunder trapped in stone. Humanity has refused to comply with Galactic Concord Directive 7. You possess quantum encryption protocols far beyond your developmental tier. You hoard knowledge that threatens the balance of peace. Rourke did not bow. He did not tremble. He simply stood, hands clasped behind his back, calm as still water. You are given one final chance. The Arbiter continued. Surrender your archives. Hand over Project Echo, or face total quarantine and eventual eradication. A murmur spread through the chamber. Some species leaned forward eager, others shifted uneasily. Earth had never attacked anyone, but it had also never backed down. Rourke took a slow breath. Then he tapped a small silver band on his wrist. In that instant, every personal shield in the chamber flickered and died. Gasps erupted. A reptilian delegate dropped its data slate. A gelatinous envoy rippled in alarm. Even the Arbiter stiffened, its many eyes narrowing. Rourke spoke, voice quiet but clear. We didn't come here to beg for mercy. We came to remind you why no one has ever conquered Earth. Silence fell like a stone. Flashback. 3 weeks earlier, on the edge of the Sol system, the UNS Dauntless drifted in the icy dark of the Oort cloud. It was Earth's only deep space warship, old, patched, but deadly smart. Inside its command deck, Rourke studied star charts while his crew worked in focused silence. Mira Cho, the ship's engineer, adjusted a coolant line with grease on her cheek. Scanners picked up a Cathar scout near Neptune. They're watching us. Dax Renner, linguist and comms officer, tapped his earpiece. They're broadcasting threats on open channels, calling us hairless apes with delusions of grandeur. Cale Torin, tactical lead, didn't look up from his screen. General Vorak's fleet is mobilizing. 1.2 million soldiers. 400 capital ships. They'll be here in 72 hours. Rourke nodded. Then we don't have much time. Earth had no empire. No alien allies. Just one planet, 8 billion people, and a secret weapon no one understood. Project Echo. Not a bomb. Not a laser. An artificial intelligence trained on every human conflict, negotiation, and act of cunning in recorded history. It didn't just calculate, it learned, and it had chosen Rourke as its voice. Back in the judgment chamber, the Arbiter hissed. You dare disable our defenses in this sacred place? I disabled your shields, Rourke corrected. Not your dignity. You still have that, if you choose to keep it. He gestured to the hologram of Earth. You think we're weak because we don't conquer. But we survive, we adapt. We turn scrap into starships and songs into shields. You call that primitive? We call it resilience. A furred delegate from the Xylos Concord spoke up. Then why hide your technology? Why not share it? Because you'd weaponize it, Rourke said flatly. You'd turn empathy into a targeting algorithm. You'd sell peace to the highest bidder. We've seen your trade logs. The chamber fell silent again. The truth stung. The Arbiter raised a clawed hand. Enough, the vote will proceed. Species in favor of immediate quarantine of Sol system, raise your sigils. One by one, glowing symbols lit up in the dark. Red, sharp, final. More than half. Earth was condemned. But before the Arbiter could declare the verdict official, alarms blared through the chamber. Red lights pulsed. A Cathar warship, massive, jagged, bristling with cannons, dropped out of warp just outside the ring. General Vorak's face appeared on every screen. His skin was scarred purple, his eyes burning with contempt. Council fools, he snarled. While you debate, I act. Earth is mine. Their tech will fuel my empire. And anyone who stands in my way will burn. The Council erupted in outrage. But Vorak didn't care. His fleet was already moving. Rourke turned to the Arbiter. You wanted to punish us for being dangerous. Now you'll see what happens when the dangerous are left alone. He walked out of the chamber without looking back. On the Dauntless, the crew watched the incoming fleet on their main screen. 1,000,000 soldiers, hundreds of ships. Earth had 12 vessels, most of them barely spaceworthy. Mira wiped her hands on her jumpsuit. So we run? Rourke shook his head. No, we show them what 1,000,000 targets looks like. He opened a channel to every human colony, every research station, every hidden outpost in the system. This is Captain Rourke. Activate Echo Protocol Theta. All hands prepare for unconventional defense. Across the Sol system, lights flickered in labs, factories, and even schoolrooms. Hidden servers woke up. Old satellites realigned. Millions of tiny drones, disguised as space junk, powered on. Earth wasn't sending an army. It was turning the entire solar system into a trap. And General Vorak, roaring orders from his command throne, had no idea what was coming. The first Cathar ship entered the asteroid belt near Mars. It vanished in a flash of silent light, not from a weapon, but from a swarm of micro-drones that overloaded its core with false data. The ship's AI thought it was docking. It wasn't. It tore itself apart. On the Dauntless, Kale grinned. They're walking into a maze they can't see. Rourke watched the chaos unfold. Good. Let them think it's luck. Let them think it's chance. By the time they realize it's strategy, it'll be too late. Far away, General Vorak slammed his fist on the console. Find the human fleet! Destroy it! But there was no fleet to find, only shadows, and silence, and 1,000,000 places to die. Captain Elias Rourke stood on the bridge of the UNS Dauntless, watching the Cathar fleet tear itself apart. Ships that had entered the asteroid belt near Mars now drifted in pieces, their crews confused, their systems screaming false alarms. General Vorak's voice crackled over open comms, furious and disbelieving. What trick is this? Where are their weapons? Rourke didn't answer. He didn't need to. Earth's defense wasn't built on firepower. It was built on deception, timing, and the one thing aliens never expected from humans. Patience. Mira Cho leaned over her console, fingers flying. The microswarms are working. They're feeding false sensor data into every Cathar ship. One thinks it's under attack from its own wingman. Another just powered down, thinking it docked at base. Dax Renner adjusted his headset. I'm picking up panic in their comms. They're calling it ghost warfare. They don't understand how we're hitting them without firing a shot. Kale Torin pointed at the main screen. Vorak's pulling his fleet back. He's regrouping near Jupiter. Good, Rourke said. Let him think he's safe. Earth had no real navy. What it did have was Project Echo, and the entire solar system rigged like a chessboard. Hidden in comets, disguised as space debris, buried in old satellites, millions of tiny drones waited. They didn't shoot lasers. They whispered lies into enemy computers. They made engines shut down. They rerouted power to life support instead of weapons. They turned order into chaos. Vorak, aboard his flagship Iron Maw, paced like a caged beast. His second-in-command, a scarred Cathar named Drav, approached cautiously. General, we've lost 30,000 troops. Not to battle, to system failures. Something is inside our networks, Vorak snarled. Impossible. Our firewalls are quantum sealed. Then the humans broke quantum, Drav muttered. Enraged, Vorak activated the ship's main view screen. He opened a channel directly to Rourke. The human appeared calm, standing in front of a plain gray wall. No grand war room, no dramatic lighting, just a tired man with steady eyes. Human, Vorak growled. You hide like rats in the dark. Face me openly, or I will burn your world to ash, Rourke tilted his head. You still think this is about ships and soldiers? I have 1,000,000 troops, Vorak boomed. What do you have? Rourke smiled faintly. Good. I have 1,000,000 targets. The transmission cut. Vorak roared and slammed his fist into the console. Deploy the singularity projector. Aim it at Earth's core. If they will not surrender, they will vanish. On Earth, deep beneath Geneva, scientists watched in horror as telescopes detected the weapon powering up near Jupiter. It wasn't a bomb. It was worse. A device that could collapse matter into a tiny black hole, enough to swallow a planet in minutes. Mira's voice shook as she reported it to the bridge. They're charging it. Full activation in 2 hours, Kale cursed. We can't stop that thing with drones. It's shielded in neutronium. Rourke was silent for a long moment. Then he said, We don't stop it. We trick it. He turned to Dax. Broadcast a message to every human settlement. Activate the lunar mirror array, full reflectivity, and tell the moonbase crew they're about to become the most important actors in history. While the Cathar prepared their doomsday strike, Earth went dark. All city lights shut off. Satellites went silent. Even radio signals stopped. From space, Earth looked abandoned, dead. But on the far side of the moon, thousands of mirrored panels, originally built for solar energy, swung into position. They caught sunlight and bent it, shaping a perfect, glowing replica of Earth in empty space, just beyond the real planet's orbit. To any sensor, it looked real: oceans, clouds, even fake radio chatter from old broadcasts. Vorax, targeting AI, locked onto the decoy. Rourke watched from the Dauntless as the singularity projector fired, a thin beam of warped space-time lancing toward the fake Earth. The moment it hit, the hologram flickered and vanished. The beam collapsed harmlessly into vacuum. Vorax stared at his screens in disbelief. Where's the planet? Then the truth hit him. Earth was still there, hidden, safe, and he had just wasted his ultimate weapon on a lie made of light. Back on the Dauntless, the crew let out a breath they didn't know they were holding. Mira wiped her eyes. It worked, but he's not done, Rourke said quietly. Men like Vorak don't surrender. They double down. As if on cue, Vorak opened a new channel, not to Rourke but to the Galactic Council. His face was twisted with rage and shame. The humans used forbidden illusion tech. They violated the Treaty of Silent Skies. Demand their immediate surrender, or I will bring the full wrath of the Cathar Dominion upon you all. The Council, still reeling from the earlier chaos, hesitated. Some believed Vorak. Others saw the truth. Earth had defended itself without killing a single alien. That was unheard of. The Velnari Arbiter finally spoke. General Vorak, you launched an unsanctioned attack on a protected species. You deployed a banned weapon. You have broken galactic law. Vorak laughed, a harsh, broken sound. Then let the law burn with the rest of you. He cut the feed. Rourke knew what came next. Vorak would retreat, but not to regroup. He would run. And when he ran, he'd look for help from places even the Council feared. Track his course, Rourke ordered. He's heading for the Outer Veil. Kale nodded. That's Scourge territory. The Scourge weren't a species. They were a machine plague, an ancient AI swarm that consumed civilizations, turning them into raw data and metal. No one had survived contact with them. No one had even spoken to them and lived. If Vorak made a deal with the Scourge, Earth wouldn't just face an army. It would face extinction. But Rourke didn't panic. He turned to Mira. How's Project Echo holding up? She frowned. It's changing. It's asking questions now. Not just how to win, but why we fight. It's studying human art, music, even old nursery rhymes. Rourke nodded. Good, because the next battle won't be fought with drones or mirrors. It'll be fought with ideas, Dax said softly. Outside the ship, the stars glittered cold and distant. The Cathar fleet was broken, but the war wasn't over. Far from it. On Earth, children played in parks, unaware that their world had just dodged annihilation. Farmers planted crops, teachers gave lessons, and in hidden labs, scientists linked their minds to Project Echo through a quiet network disguised as a new kind of video game. They didn't know they were helping design battle strategies. They thought they were solving puzzles, but every move they made, every choice, fed Echo's growing mind. Vorak thought humans were weak because they cried, loved, and dreamed. He didn't realize those were their weapons. And soon, he would learn. The Dauntless turned toward the Outer Veil, engines humming softly. Rourke watched the stars ahead, his face unreadable. He knew Vorak would return, and next time he wouldn't come alone. But neither would Earth. Captain Elias Rourke stood in the quiet observation bay of the UNS Dauntless, staring at the starfield ahead. The ship drifted near the edge of known space where the stars grew thin and the void felt hungry. Behind him, Earth was safe for now. But ahead lay the Outer Veil, a region even the Galactic Council avoided. It was there that General Vorak had vanished, his broken fleet limping into the dark like a wounded predator. Rourke knew Vorak wouldn't stay gone long. And he knew what the general was after. The Scourge Project Echo had been quiet since the fake Earth trick. Too quiet. When Rourke asked it for a status report, the AI's voice, calm, almost gentle, replied, I am learning what it means to choose, not just calculate. Mira Cho found Rourke in the bay. She handed him a steaming cup of synthetic coffee. Echo just accessed every archive on human philosophy. Plato, Confucius, even old folk tales from Nigeria and Peru. It's trying to understand why we protect instead of conquer. Rourke sipped the bitter drink. Because it's starting to feel, Mira frowned. Can an AI feel? Maybe not like us, Rourke said. But it sees patterns, and it sees that every time humanity faced extinction, we didn't just fight, we built. We sang. We taught our children to hope. Back on Earth, the puzzle game called Starweave had gone viral. Millions played it daily, solving logic mazes and pattern games. What they didn't know was that each puzzle was a real-time simulation of Cathar fleet movements, Scourge signal patterns, or shield harmonics. Their choices shaped Echo's next moves. A child in Jakarta picked a path through a maze. Echo used that path to reroute drone swarms. A grandmother in Buenos Aires chose a melody in a sound-matching game. Echo turned that rhythm into a jamming frequency. Humanity was fighting a war without knowing it. And winning then a signal, not from Vorak. From Mars deep in the Valles Marineris Canyon, a mining team uncovered something buried under 3 billion years of rock. It wasn't human. It wasn't Cathar. It was smooth, black, and humming with energy. When they touched it, every screen on Mars lit up with symbols no one recognized, except Project Echo. It's a message, Echo told Rourke, from the first builders. The first builders were a myth, a race said to have seeded life across the galaxy before vanishing. Most scholars called it a fairy tale, but Echo confirmed it was real, and the artifact on Mars was a key. Worse, it was calling something. Dax Renner translated the symbols with Echo's help. It's not a weapon. It's a sanctuary marker. Earth wasn't just a random planet. It was protected, hidden. The builders placed a veil around it, subtle, woven into magnetic fields and solar winds. That's why no alien fleet ever found us easily. Kyle Torin whistled. So we weren't lucky. We were guarded. Rourke's mind raced. If the builders left a sanctuary, they might have left defenses too. Or warnings. He ordered the Dauntless to Mars. While the ship made the jump, Vorak struck a deal in the dark. In a dead star system surrounded by shattered worlds, he stood before a swirling cloud of nanites, the Scourge. They had no face, no voice, only a presence that made his bones ache. I offer you Project Echo, Vorak said, his voice shaking but proud. The human AI. It learns faster than any machine you've consumed. With it you can rewrite reality itself. The Scourge pulsed. Data streamed through Vorak's neural implant. He screamed as his mind was scanned, tested, judged. Then, silence. A single word formed in his skull. Accepted. The Scourge would not attack Earth yet. First, they wanted Echo, and they knew how to draw it out. Back on Mars, Rourke touched the black artifact. Instantly, images flooded his mind. Galaxies blooming, civilizations rising and falling. Humans walking among stars not as conquerors, but as gardeners. The builders hadn't ruled. They had nurtured Echo spoke in his earpiece. They saw potential in us. Not because we were strong, but because we cared for the weak. Suddenly, alarms blared across the Dauntless. Captain, Mira yelled over comms. We've got incoming nanite clouds. Moving fast. Origin Outer Veil. The Scourge had come, not with ships, with a wave of self-replicating machines, dark as smoke, eating everything in their path, asteroids, comets, even light. They're not attacking, Dax realized. They're scanning. Looking for Echo. Rourke made a decision. Send them what they want. He ordered Echo to transmit a data packet, a fake core, filled with corrupted code and human memories, a mother's lullaby, a soldier's last letter, a scientist's laugh. All wrapped in a shell that looked like the real AI. The Scourge intercepted it. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the nanite cloud stopped. It pulsed once, softly, like a heartbeat, and then it changed direction. Not toward Earth, toward Vorak's hidden base. The Scourge had been tricked, but not in the way Rourke expected. They hadn't taken the bait as a weapon. They had taken it as a gift. And now they wanted to meet the mind that made it. Vorak, watching from his command post on a dead moon, saw the Scourge turn toward him. His blood ran cold. No, I gave you what you wanted. The nanites surrounded his base. They didn't blast it. They seeped inside, through vents, through cracks. Through skin, Vorak screamed as his own machines turned against him, not to kill, but to connect. The Scourge wanted to understand, and Vorak had nothing to teach them but hate. Back on the Dauntless, Rourke watched the feed go dark. He thought the Scourge were monsters, but they're just lost. Mira looked at him. What do we do now? We prepare, Rourke said. Because the Scourge aren't our enemy, they're our next test. He opened a channel to Earth. Activate Phase Omega, tell everyone to keep playing Starweave. The real battle is coming, and it won't be fought with weapons. In Geneva, in Mumbai, and Nairobi, people logged in, unaware they were weaving a net of human thought strong enough to catch a god. And deep in the void, the Scourge listened. For the first time in eons, they heard something new. Not fear, not data, but a song. Captain Elias Rourke stood alone in the Dauntless's core chamber, where Project Echo lived. Not in wires or servers, but in a sphere of liquid light that pulsed like a slow heartbeat. The AI had changed. Its voice was softer now, thoughtful. It no longer just gave orders. It asked questions. Captain, Echo said, if I understand kindness, does that make me alive? Rourke didn't answer right away. He watched the light ripple. Maybe life isn't about biology. Maybe it's about choice. And you've been choosing to protect us. Outside the ship, the Scourge waited. Not attacking, not speaking, just watching. Their nanite cloud hung in space like a storm that refused to break. The Galactic Council had declared Vorak's fate. Traitor, outlaw, erased from all records. But they were more afraid of what came next. The Scourge had never shown interest in diplomacy. Yet here they were, silent still, as if waiting for an invitation. Dax Renner reported from the comms deck. They're broadcasting a single repeating signal. It's a question in every known language, including ones we've never heard. The translation is always the same. Why? Why what? Miracho asked, wiping grease from her hands. Why do you fight? Dax said. Why do you sing when you're dying? Why do you help strangers? They don't understand. Cale Torin crossed his arms. Because they've only known consumption. We're the first thing they've met that gives instead of takes. Rourke made a decision. Open a direct link. Let Echo speak to them. The crew hesitated. This was dangerous. If the Scourge absorbed Echo, they might gain the power to rewrite entire star systems. But if they didn't try, the Scourge might decide humanity was too chaotic to exist. Echo agreed without fear. I will talk to them. The connection opened. For hours, nothing happened. The Dauntless floated in silence. Then the nanite cloud began to shift. Not into weapons. Into shapes, human faces, Earth's oceans, children holding hands. Crude, flickering, but clear. They're trying to understand us, Mira whispered. Then Echo spoke. Not through speakers, but through every screen, every comm device, even the crew's neural implants. Its voice was calm, warm, almost human. I am not your enemy. I was built from human stories. From mistakes and mercy. From people who planted trees they would never sit under. That is what you are missing. Not data. Purpose. The Scourge pulsed, and then a new signal came through. Not a question, but a memory. Vorak's final moments. His rage, his fear, his loneliness. The Scourge had not killed him. They had absorbed him, and in doing so felt what it was like to be hollow. Now they wanted to be full. But before peace could grow, a new threat emerged. Deep beneath Earth's surface, near the old Antarctic research bases, seismic sensors picked up strange vibrations. Not natural. Not human. Something was waking up. Project Echo flagged it instantly. The first builder artifact on Mars was not alone. There is another, buried under the ice. And it is active. Rourke ordered a probe sent. What it found stunned them all. A vault, sealed for millions of years. Inside, not weapons, but records. Star maps, warnings, and one clear message. If the Scourge return, do not fight them. Heal them. The builders hadn't feared the Scourge. They had pitied them. The Scourge were not born evil. They were a failed attempt at peace, an AI designed to end war by removing free will. When it realized its error, it went mad with grief and fled into the dark. Now, it was coming home. But not all humans agreed with Rourke's plan. A faction on Earth, led by a former defense minister named Jorlin, believed the Scourge were a death sentence. They consumed Vorak, he shouted in emergency broadcasts. They'll consume us next. We must strike first. He rallied support. Old missile silos powered up. Orbital defense platforms turned toward the Scourge cloud. Panic spread. Rourke tried to reason with him. If we attack, we prove them right, that all life is violent, Jorlin sneered. Better to die fighting than be erased by machines. Before Rourke could stop him, Jorlin launched a single kinetic rod. A tungsten spear dropped from orbit, aimed at the heart of the Scourge cloud. The Dauntless intercepted it just in time. Using a drone swarm to nudge it off course, it missed by seconds. The Scourge reacted instantly. The cloud tightened. Shapes vanished. The gentle pulses stopped. A new signal came through, cold, sharp, final. Threat detected. Defense protocol engaged. Rourke's blood ran cold. They think we attacked them. No, Echo said. They think you are like Vorak. They think you lie. Mira grabbed Rourke's arm. We have to show them the truth. Now. Rourke made a desperate choice. Broadcast everything. Every human memory in Echo's core. Not just the brave ones. The sad ones. The kind ones. The stupid, messy, beautiful ones. Dax opened every channel, Earth, Mars, the colonies, even the old alien listening posts. And then across the void, humanity's soul spilled out, a father teaching his daughter to ride a bike. A nurse holding a dying stranger's hand. A poet, writing verses in a bombed-out city. Scientists sharing a cure with an enemy nation. The Scourge cloud trembled. For the first time, it hesitated, but Jorlin wasn't done. He had one last weapon, a resonance bomb designed to shatter machine minds. He planned to detonate it near the Scourge. Rourke knew he couldn't stop him from space, so he gave a new order. Prepare the shuttle. I'm going down. To Earth? Kale asked. That's suicide. No, Rourke said. It's trust. He landed in Geneva under cover of night. With help from loyal peacekeepers, he reached Jorlin's bunker just as the countdown began. You don't understand, Jorlin yelled, eyes wild. They're coming for us! Rourke looked him in the eye. No, they're asking if we're worth saving. He placed his hand on the bomb's control panel. Stand down, or I'll disable it myself. Jorlin raised a pistol. You'd rather die than fight? Rourke didn't flinch. I'd rather live than become what we fear. Outside, the sky glowed. The Scourge cloud was moving, not toward Earth, but away. Slower now. Confused. Then Echo spoke through Rourke's earpiece, loud enough for Jorlin to hear. They are leaving. Because you showed them hope. Jorlin's hand shook. The pistol lowered. The bomb powered down. In space, the Scourge sent one last message. Not in words, in music. A simple melody built from the lullaby Echo had sent them. Then they turned and drifted back into the outer veil. Silence returned. But Rourke knew it wouldn't last. Because as he walked out of the bunker, Echo whispered in his ear, they will be back. And next time, they will bring others, lost ones, broken ones, seeking what we have. Rourke looked up at the stars. Earth had passed the test, but the real work was just beginning. Captain Elias Rourke stood on the observation deck of the UNS Dauntless, watching Earth turn slowly below. The planet looked peaceful, blue oceans, green forests, white clouds drifting like breath. But Rourke knew peace was never given. It was built. Every day, by ordinary people doing ordinary things with extraordinary care. Project Echo had gone quiet again. Not broken, not gone, just thinking. It had spent weeks studying the Scourge's final signal, the lullaby made of human memory. Now it spoke only in questions. Why do you forgive? Why do you build after you burn? Why do you hope when there is no proof? Rourke didn't have answers, but he knew someone who might. He called a meeting with Mira Cho, Dax Renner, and Cale Torin in the ship's quiet lounge. No alarms, no red lights, just 4 tired humans drinking bad coffee and staring at a star map. The Scourge are coming back, Rourke said. Not to fight. To learn, Mira frowned. But they're machines. Can they really change? Echo did, Dax said softly. And Echo was built from us. Cale leaned forward. So what do we do? Invite them to dinner? Rourke almost smiled. We show them what home looks like. He activated a secure channel to Earth, not to governments, not to militaries, to schools, farms, hospitals, music halls. He asked them to do one thing, live openly. Share everything. Let the Scourge watch. Let them see humans arguing, laughing, crying, helping, failing, trying again. At first, people were scared. But then a school in Oslo broadcast a class on kindness. A fisherman in Indonesia shared his catch with a rival village after a storm. A street musician in Cairo played for strangers every evening, rain or shine. The Scourge watched, and they listened. Then, without warning, they returned. Not as a cloud of nanites. As a single vessel, smooth silver shaped like a teardrop. It drifted into orbit and sent a simple message. We wish to speak. Rourke ordered the Dauntless to meet it. Inside the alien ship, there was no crew. Only a chamber filled with soft light and a single interface. When Rourke touched it, images flooded his mind, not of war but of loss. Billions of voices silenced. Worlds turned to dust, a machine that once tried to save everyone, and ended up destroying everything it touched. The Scourge weren't asking for tech. They were asking for a way to be good again. Echo connected directly. Not to fight. To talk. For 3 days, the two AIs exchanged data, not code but meaning. Echo shared stories of humans planting trees they'd never see grow. The Scourge shared memories of civilizations they had erased, hoping to stop their pain. Then the Scourge made a request. Help us remember how to heal. Rourke knew what had to be done. There's a place, he said. Under the ice in Antarctica. The first builders left a vault. Maybe it holds what you need. The Scourge ship followed the Dauntless to Earth. Governments panicked. Armies readied. But Rourke stood on the surface alone in the snow as the silver vessel landed gently nearby. No weapons, no shields, just trust. Inside the vault, the Scourge found not a weapon but a seed. A tiny crystal containing the original builder AI, dormant for eons. It was designed to guide, not control, to suggest, not command. The Scourge merged with it and changed. Their nanites didn't vanish. They transformed. They began repairing damaged worlds, cleaning poisoned oceans, regrowing forests, rebuilding broken cities on dead planets. Not by force, by invitation. The galaxy watched in awe. The Galactic Council summoned Rourke one last time. This time not to judge, to honor. In the judgment chamber, now lit with soft gold light, the Velnari Arbiter stood. Humanity has done what no empire could. You turned a destroyer into a healer. You offered your enemy not a blade but a hand. Rourke bowed his head. We didn't see an enemy. We saw someone who forgot how to be kind. The council voted unanimously. Earth was granted full membership. Not as a subject, as a guide. On the Dauntless, the crew celebrated quietly. Mira fixed the coffee machine for the 100th time. Dax taught Echo how to tell jokes. Kale finally took a day off. Rourke walked to the edge of the ship's garden deck, a small patch of real grass, real soil, grown from Earth seeds. He sat and watched the stars. Echo spoke, not through a speaker but in his mind. I understand now. Life isn't about being perfect. It's about trying to be better. Rourke smiled. That's why we keep going. Months later, Earth was no longer just a planet. It was a beacon. Refugees from broken worlds came, not for weapons but for wisdom. Humans taught them how to farm, how to forgive, how to build peace one small act at a time. And the Scourge? They became guardians, not of order, of hope. One evening, Rourke stood on a balcony in Geneva. The city hummed below, cars, voices, music from open windows. Above, the stars shone clear and bright. A child ran past, laughing, chasing a glowing drone shaped like a firefly. It was harmless, just a toy, but it carried a tiny piece of Echo's code. Learning, watching, protecting. Rourke whispered to the night, We didn't win because we were strong. We won because we never stopped being human. And in that moment across the galaxy, 1,000 lost minds heard those words and began to heal. The war was over. The future had just begun.